Yeah. Father, I thank you so much for your goodness to us. I thank you for your word. I thank you today. I read in Psalms where you take pleasure in the prosperity of your saints, and that word means just in the health and the completeness of them.
Amen.
And I'm excited about what you're going to do and what's on the horizon. And I'm grateful for some of the things you carried me through last year. Holy Spirit, you're welcome in here. You have the authority and the permission from each of us to teach to us tonight. We pray it in your name, Jesus. We all said,
Amen.
Okay, this message is kind of going to be reflection and projection. And we can look back on year 2019, and probably all of us had some things that happened that we would rather not happen. And but a lot of us probably had some great successes. Mike sent me a text message Sunday that said, man, I really appreciated that message about growing up and maturing, because it showed me and encouraged me where I've come so far. And so a lot of these messages are just to encourage us also. Look how far we've gone.
Right. Amen.
And then the other side of that coin is what we need to correct or fix. But we can be like this. I thought of my wife when I saw this picture right here.
There you go.
You know, excited about the new year, even though things may have happened, we're excited about it. Or we can be this old guy and depressed and dragged out going into the new year. We don't want to be like that, do we?
No.
We want to be thumbs up. So we're going to talk about a few things tonight that we might need to let go of. We need to get past things like, and I'm talking, and this was for me tonight or today when I was doing this, is about there isn't no regret. There's lessons learned.
Yes.
And there's moving forward. And so we've got to look at that way, because the enemy will cripple us if we don't. So, are you ready to put the year 2019 to a close?
Amen.
Are you ready for that?
Amen.
And bury it, right?
Amen.
And a lot of times we just need to bury things and bury them and don't dig them back up, right? And learn, though, from them, and don't let them bury us.
Right.
Because there's some things that can bury us if we let them. So let us reflect on lessons that we've learned in the year 2019. So let me ask you, how's everybody feeling about the lessons they learned?
Bless.
Are they beating you up? Or have you learned what you needed to learn and buried it?
Yeah.
Because see, I had some issues with my mother that I was living in regret over, and I just need to let that go and look at all of the positive aspects of everything that happened in that year and not regret it. And I had some other things in my personal life, and they're lessons. They're just lessons. And so we got to learn from them and bury them. This lesson, really, I kind of was reading something Debbie did at the end of the year, and I thought, man, this is such a good time for us to reflect back and then to look forward. I put up the Numbers 30, and I wanted to use this because Caleb was the kind of spirit with the little girl thumbs up. God had promised them this promised land, and he and Joshua was all excited about taking it, you know. But there was 10 other spies that went in to learn about this land. And here's what happened. Then Caleb, and they come back, and they had the people all in discord and all negative, like we can't do this. We can't do this. And we're going into a new year and into a new land, and there's going to be giants and things like that may face us. But we can't be the guy on the couch and listen to the 10 spies. We got to be like Caleb. Then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome and conquer it. And if I'd have finished that scripture, it was said because their strength has left them. They didn't have any strength compared to God. And nothing that we're facing has any ability, there's nothing outside of us that's better or greater than anything that's inside of us. But we got to know that. And we got to, every time we come to them spots, okay, put the next one up, Matt. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against these people, for they are stronger than we. Go to the next one. And they gave Israel a bad report, saying, the land through which we have gone is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it were of great stature. There we saw the giants. Now here's what I want to go. We're reflecting and we're projecting, right? And how we project ourselves is going to determine the quality of our life. So it says, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight. In other words, that terrified us, and we began to look at ourselves as grasshoppers. And because we saw ourselves that way, so we were in their sight as well. Right. So when we go into this year, and maybe we're coming out wounded in some things that we've gotten beat up in, but they're lessons that we learned. And we're heading into the next year, and we might be like Mike, excited because we see some growth that we made, and we're encouraged by it. But we're going to have giants. And I gave you that prophetic word that Lee called all of the people together that meet and said, you know, that I've just got this. And God, He's not going to do that unless God really moved on His heart and called all of us pastors together and met with us and said, man, I'm stirred in my spirit. There's something exciting on the horizon. But listen, we need to be prepared, because what's big and great out there for us, the greater the attack is going to be to us. And so that's not anything to scare us. That's just to prepare us. There's going to be giants we're going to face, and we've got to have the Caleb spirit, and we can't see ourselves as grasshoppers, and we can't let what happened last year make us, the bad things that maybe have happened, make us feel like grasshoppers. Because if we feel like grasshoppers, then we're going to project ourselves like grasshoppers. So we have got to see ourselves as God sees us. Think of yourself, what are the top lessons you learned in 2019? And what you learned from them, did they build you any kind of good foundation to grow off of? Because that's what we're talking about. Or did they put a spirit of regret on you and there's nothing to build off of? Because everything that happens to us, good or bad, how we handle it's going to be the foundation that we build off of that lesson. And we need to be building foundations all the time off of the lessons we've learned. We know our undergird foundation is Christ. Amen. But out of that, we need to take and learn the lessons that we are to learn, and that's a foundation or a stepping stone to put us in the next place, right? Amen. Did you learn last year or in any time that you've been struggling or that you've been taking giant steps of faith, have you learned that where God's signature is going to be peace? Amen.
Amen. I'm enjoying that.
So, if you step out and you say, well, is this God's will or not? Do you have peace about it? Come on. Or is there confusion? Is there worry? Is there discord? Is there just, I don't know? Is there double-mindedness? God's not there. But where you step, you will know if it's God's will when you have peace about it and confidence about it. Because God will give you the grace and He'll give you the peace. And listen, He'll even give you the extra measures of faith that you need. The bigger the tackle, the step of faith you're going to take, the more grace and the more faith He'll pour into you for that assignment. Yes, Lord. But He's not going to put you into those greater assignments until you win the battle with the lions and the bears.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
And then when we face the Goliaths, listen, the Goliaths are the greatest thing. It's what made David a hero, a national hero. Oh, that's right. But it's also what stirred up jealousy in the very man that he made famous. So that's going to happen to us as we kill some giants and conquer some, cut some heads off as we go into this year. So just be prepared for that. You can stand and you've got conquered your Goliath and you have his sword. That's going to stir up jealousy someone around you. Just be prepared for that and don't let it bother you.
Amen.
If you're doing something right in God's kingdom, you're going to stir up some controversy around you. Just go. If there's not anything going on around you like that, then probably you're not doing anything. Really, honestly. Have you learned these lessons? That God opens doors and He closes doors. Been one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn. When He closes a door, don't go chase it down and try to open it back. It'll turn into a catastrophe every single time. We got to learn to recognize when God just shut a door, that person or whatever that situation was there for a season or reason. But it wasn't a lifetime. And every door that I've gone back and tracked has turned into a catastrophe. And Debbie has said, when are you going to learn your lessons? You see, my heart tells me, no. You don't see Jesus doing that. When a door shut, He went on. Matter of fact, the prodigal son, He didn't even go chase the prodigal son down. He let him go. Because the prodigal son had to go to the pig pen. Jonah had to be swallowed by a whale. Would you have been a whale shooter? I'm going to kill that whale. It ain't going to swallow Jonah. We got to recognize. And then we got to recognize the doors that God's opened and embrace them. And when He opens them, don't hesitate to walk through them. Yes. We'll lose every time. Because when you know He's opened the door, don't let fear and everything else intimidate you. When you know He opened it, you've got peace about it, you better walk through it. Because you're going to lose it if you don't. Because the more you hesitate, the more you think about it, the more you double-mindedness, the more you will not walk through it. You'll stagger through it. And it'll be hitting you in the butt the whole time.
Amen.
I mean that. And I'm not going to go to the Pandora thing, but sometimes when we open doors that have been shut, it turns into Pandora's box. And those of you that know that story, she opened a box that was told not to open, and all kind of evil spirits come out of it. But she still had hope, even in the midst of that. So if we've opened some doors that we weren't supposed to, and a lot of catastrophe come out of it, the answer to that story was a fairy named Hope. And that is so good. Stop questioning and quieting the truth that you know is in you. When you know that you have been told something of God, you know it and you know it and you know it, quit questioning it, start acting on it.
Amen.
And don't be afraid to act on it. Your voice and your opinion matters. And you got to be brave and walk through those unctions and those promptings and those open doors when you know they're open of God. No longer regret, but life lessons. Your voice matters. So stop dishonoring the truth that's in you by not expressing what the truth is wanting to say to come out. You dishonor that. You need to honor that when you're hearing that. Are y'all following me?
Amen.
Have you just known you should have said something or done something or walked somewhere and you didn't do it?
Amen.
You dishonored that opportunity right there. It's completely okay to learn to say no to things that don't serve our best interest. Hardest thing in the world for some people, and it's been very hard for me, is to say no to good things when it's not going to serve my interest. And you say, well, that's selfish. Listen, if you don't take care of yourself, you sure can't take care of nobody else.
Amen.
And if you let everything overwhelm you and destroy you, you're going to burn out and not be worth a flip in a month or 2 or 3 or a year. And then your health is going to be bad, and we know the story. There's some things that are good things that you've got to learn to say no to. I can give you a good illustration that just tells the story, and I talked to Corey about this when he started his business. He started that mechanic business, and I knew it was going to go, real strong. And I said, you're going to have to learn real quick to say no. Because you'll get so overwhelmed that you won't be able to do all the things that you've committed to do. It's going to make you feel bad. You're going to have people running you down, and then you're never going to have no time to rest or relax. So you're going to have to learn there's things you're going to have to say no to survive. That's that way in life and in ministry. And boy, for a pastor, that's a hard thing to learn. Is to learn to say no. There's times you've got to say no. Does that help anybody?
Amen.
Do you feel responsible from last year for any friends or loved ones? And are you disappointed when your expectations of their walk with God is not what you think it should be?
Amen.
Now, on the warning side of that is if you get too concerned about it, they'll wrap you down in there and own you. They're their own people. They got to make their own decisions. You can just love them. Here's what Jesus said for us to do. So how do we help our friends and our loved ones understand the forgiveness and the goodness and the grace of God without becoming frustrated or angry or and actually harm them? And then this is what I love what this says in the Voice Bible in 2 Corinthians. It says, "Yet I am so thankful to God who always marches us to victory under the banner of the Anointed One," you know, that's Jesus, "and through us he spreads the beautiful fragrance of his knowledge." Everybody say knowledge.
Knowledge.
"To every corner of the earth." Fragrance is what perfume or cologne puts off. And what we should be such understanding but firm, not enabling but truth, but loving enough that that fragrance just permeates to where we're going to have an opportunity to teach them knowledge. Because a lot of people fail because they have a lack of knowledge, and you can't go cram it down them. You've got to be that fragrance that attracts them to where you can bring them to a place they can learn knowledge, or you can share with them from your own experiences. Amen. And God will get that opportunity. But when we start trying to rush it or push them or let them know our displeasure, you've destroyed it. You've killed the spirit. It's okay to disappoint people. And you will disappoint people. And you probably have disappointed some people last year. Yep. When you start to say no and honor yourself, there will be people that don't like it. And that's okay. It's not your job to make every person happy or to live up to everyone else's expectations. Amen. If you didn't learn those lessons from last year, don't carry them in this year. And on the flip side of that, if you've done something to disappoint somebody, they don't own you. God forgave you. If they can't, then you need to cut loose of that, because it'll drag you down and it'll be an anchor. I've disappointed people, and I ask them for forgiveness and tell them I'm sorry, and it's the best that I can do. The good thing I can do is demonstrate I'm sorry with my life. And if they don't accept it right at first, if they see you, doing what you said you're sorry for, they'll come around if they love you. Does that help anybody? Amen. Live life. Where did I see that at? Oh, live the life of Christ for yourself and stop seeking other people's approval. How much energy do we spend trying to get validation from other people or other things or other talents or other promotions? That's all great to have that, but don't let that validate us, because it'll wear off. And why do we want that? Because all it does is cause us to spend more time creating what we wish to see and less time worrying. Oh, why do we want to do that? It gives us more time to begin to create things we want to see and less time to worry about looking at things that we don't want to see or people. Do you know God gave us, and you should learn this in here, one thing He gave us that nothing else and creation has except him. We have the power and the ability to create life.
That's right.
We have the power and the ability to create whatever we want to create in our lives if we be determined about it, if we stay strong about it, if we speak truth about it, and if we trust God about it, and we're big enough to take big steps of faith and fight giants, you will create the world that you want.
Amen.
But you got to do it. We should have learned that from last year. We're here, aren't we? We made it through, didn't we? Look how far we've come. We've got a ways to go, don't we? But we're here, didn't we? We made it. We survived it. But let's not be shipwreck survivors. Let's be conquerors. When you say I survived something, well, that puts you in the category of a shipwreck survivor. But when you say you conquered something, that puts you in the category of a Mount Everest conqueror, right? So we're not survivors. We're conquerors. John 16:33, I love this too. I put this in the Voice Bible. I love the Voice Bible, if you haven't noticed. I have told you these things so that you will be whole. That means complete. We know that James says that you can be entrusted with all things when you get whole and complete. That you'll be whole and at peace in me. At peace in me. In this world you will be plagued with times of trouble. But you need not fear. I have triumphed over this corrupt world order for you, and shown you the way, the truth, and the life. So follow me. I don't know what to do. Follow Jesus. I don't know how to do that. Oh, yes, you do. Follow Jesus. Follow the yellow brick road. How do you know if you're following Jesus? Is it truth? Is it selflessness or selfishness? Is it about someone else or about me? Is it going to bring life or death to me or them? Are these words of God or Jesus, or are they of the bad spirit? So how do I follow Jesus? I just showed you. He laid it out. It's very easy to recognize his spirit, isn't it? It's his love and selflessness. Inspiration flows from us continually. It's there. It's how we were created. There's energy forces continually flowing through us. The system, the laws, everything works in the universe through power and energy waves. Everything does. That's how we're discovering that we can get into different dimensions. The celestial division. Me sending a picture to you through my phone, and you getting it on your phone what dimension is that? Cyberspace dimension. That's energy waves going. There's radio frequencies. That's another dimension. We live in a dimension. What I'm speaking is a dimension. So we are continually putting out power. But listen, there's going to be seasons that you're not inspiring, that you're not moving forward, that you feel like you're just not doing anything at all. Don't let those seasons beat you up, because those seasons many times are the most important seasons that you go through. That's when you're digging deep roots. That's when you're learning faith. That's what David was doing when he was out tending his sheep in the monotonous deal of taking care of sheep, unknown by anybody, unseen by anybody, out in the forest, just boring work, and it seemed like nothing was happening. God was making his king right there. In monotony and anonymousness. Did y'all get that? There's going to be seasons that you just feel like, man, I'm not getting it. Nothing's happening. That's the season you need to be nurturing and letting God make you a man or a woman after his own heart. Amen. That's when you should be building the relationship with him and nurturing that, and not go chase other things when those seasons happen, because we're prone to just get bored instead of building that and going to go chase other things, right? Yeah. David never left his assignment, did he? No. Never lost a sheep, did he? He wasn't on the front page of the newspaper, was he? No. You never heard anything about him. Matter of fact, when Samuel come to anoint one of Jesse's sons because God told him to. He went through 7 of them, and God said none of them were him. And he said, well, what? That's the end of it. You got another boy? Oh, yeah. David out there in the field. Well, bring him to me. And he looked at him, and I know Samuel's thinking, this ain't him. And God said, I don't look at the outside. I look at the heart. And anybody that has a heart loyal to me, I will show myself strong through them, says 2 Chronicles 16:9. A heart loyal to me. A heart wanting me. A heart desiring me. A heart that fails but continually desires me. A heart that when I say repent, repents. A heart that when I send a prophet to you that says this is you that you're wanting to persecute, you need to say what David said, have mercy upon me, Lord, according to your loving kindness. That's what made him a man after God's own heart. Not that he didn't make some huge blunders, but that he done what God told him to do when it was time to do it. And he loved God. And how do you know if you love God? He gives you that. If you love me, you'll what? You'll obey me. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll obey me. Because why? Because if you're obeying me, it shows you trust that I got your best interest in mind, and that says that you love me. I'm about to land the plane. I didn't get through a lot of this, but this is where I want to. And put Ecclesiastes 3:11 up there. I don't want to confuse you with this, but this is really good. Solomon says, I have seen the travail, the labor, the work, which God has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He's given us a task to do, right? He has made everything beautiful in what? Whose time? His time. There's a time. There's a time for all of us. If you ain't beautiful yet, you will be. Also, he has set the world. Most translations says eternity. But the King James says world in their hearts so that no man can find out the work that God had made from the beginning to the end. I'm going to clarify that. Go to the next slide. The metaphysical meaning for world. Before I go there, if God let us discover everything he had in mind, then he wouldn't be God, we would.
Right. Yes.
And where would the mystery be? And if we knew everything that was going to happen before it happened, why live?
Yeah.
Now we wish we would on the lottery, don't we?
Yeah.
But what if you could see on past what the $1 billion did to you and it destroyed you?
It would.
No.
You might, it might. I'd like to be tested on it.
Yeah.
Metaphysical meaning for world. A state of consciousness or awakened awareness. So God gives us awakened awareness, right? Formed through the belief in the reality of the things that are external. In other words, the natural world. That's how that awareness, what are we aware of? The things that are external. That really actually are illusions. Because when we go to another dimension, that chair is an illusion. When we're in that other dimension, we will see that as an illusion. But right now, we're in the dimension of the chair and we need it. Does that make sense to you?
External are things that we can see.
Right. The natural. It leads one to follow standards of living based on man's opinion rather than on the truth. The world is overcome by our denying that it has any power over us. We've got to get there. It doesn't have any power over us. The giant has no power over us. And affirming freedom in Christ. That's how the power is Christ in us. And his power is working in us. So we got to know that everything external that's happening out here has no power over what's internal in you if you've got Christ in you.
Amen.
There's nothing out here more powerful than what's in here. There's nothing greater out here than what's in here. And when we fight these giants going into this year, we want to conquer them. Because listen, standing on the head of a Goliath with his sword in your hand, That's a great, great victory. And that's going to position you for God to take you into another dimension of His kingdom work. And I want to go there.
Amen.
But I've got a Goliath I've been fighting for a while. I think I finally got the bear in the line. I got some more good stuff, but I won't get there. I'll close with John 18:36. Jesus says, my kingdom is not of this world, neither is it recognized in this world. Remember, that world there was external, we could see it. Jesus is invisible. If this were my kingdom, my servants would be fighting for my freedom. In other words, they'd be kicking your butt. But my kingdom is not in this world, in this physical, visible realm. My kingdom is in the invisible realm, the spiritual dimension. And it was supposed to say, where I inhabit and where you need to place yourself spiritually and inhabit that dimension as well. Because then you know who you are. Did that help anybody? The men, we're going to talk about this a little bit. So, anyway, I didn't need much of your time, Shadow. Y'all were slow getting here. You women, I tell you, were slow getting here.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Look at me kept me floating. Yeah, well, we're supposed to leave for a customer. Yeah, well, careful of that. Well, I know.
You signed this contract,
No,
so it's off-road lease only.
no, that would be, we was to send them to you.
Yeah.
I mean, well, if they, we wish to, they want to cross our options, what it is,